What is up guys, Andy Forest Team Runner here and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be going through the things that you guys need to know leading in to this new upcoming half marathon training series. So welcome back to another video, and you join me out here on some trails in the Forest of Dean, beautiful ones at that. And today I want to give you guys a bit of a lowdown as to what you're going to need to know if you're planning on tuning in to the upcoming half marathon training series. Half marathon training is going to be kick-starting 17th of May, and so the first training series vlog will be dropping the following weekend, and I'm hoping to take you along the journey with me as we shoot for a half marathon PB. Now today I'm not going to be going through the specifics, the goals and all that sort of stuff, just a bit of an overview. There are loads of questions after the marathon. What would you change, what would you do differently, all of that sort of thing. So I thought what I would do in this video is kind of address what's going to be staying the same, what's going to be changing, the mental attitude, all of that sort of thing, so you have a better idea as to how we're going to be approaching this upcoming half marathon training. And so just before we sit down and talk about this, I want to give two bits of advice. I'm on my week's easy right now, so I had my week off last week, or 5 days off or whatever it was, and this week is purely easy running. Number one, switch up your routes. I'm going to try and do a new, or not a new route, but a different route every day. So today I've done the school run, come and park down at Mallard's Pike, and I run some trails I haven't run in half a year, stuff that I was running in my mountain marathon training last year. Just switch back, switch off and enjoy the scenery. So that's number one. Just, I feel so happy right now. I'm excited to pick routes this week. When you're in certain training blocks and you're trying to do certain things at certain times, you might need a flatter route or a hillier route depending on what you're training for. So don't be afraid to mix it up in your week off mentally. Oh, it's so refreshing. And number two, I still have no watch. Ditch the watch just for a week. I'm recording it on my phone, obviously, but my phone's in my belt. I'm not looking at it. It's making me go, can I talk? How's my breathing? Well, I can talk because I'm talking to you. How's my breathing? How am I feeling? And just gets you so much more in tune with your body. I'm loving not wearing a watch. And quite frankly, when you're out surrounded by these trails, why the hell do you want to keep looking down at your watch, checking pace and zones and all of that? So use the week or 2 weeks or however long you want to just reset, ditch the technology, record it by all means, just don't look at it, turn your watch inside your wrist, do whatever you want to do, just disconnect. It's absolutely beautiful. So anyway, I'm going to finish this run before I stop dribbling, and 45 minutes out here. It's about 3 miles uphill, 3 downhill. Just beautiful. I'll see you when we get home. So another great run done this week, leading up into next week, where we start to kind of dip our toes back into some basic speed work before then starting this half marathon training, which is exactly what we're going to be talking about today, the things that you guys need to know leading up to that. But today I've just got to say, like I said, out there on the run, not having the watch and just running on older trails that I haven't run on for so long is so mentally refreshing. It's so good. I just smiled the whole way around. I did go a little bit further than I wanted to, and I did end up picking the pace up a little bit more than I should have done towards the end, but I was downhill and I was just rolling. I was opening up the stride, breathing in the air, just felt so alive today. And I'm a real believer that if you're feeling it on a certain day, just roll with it. I didn't do anything stupid, just I ended up opening the stride a little bit and it was just stunning out there. So another 7.7 miles banked this week, 13 miles so far. And today what we'll do, as I said, we'll dive in and talk about the things that you guys need to know for this upcoming half marathon training plan. Now, I intend on doing an intro video, which will be coming out not this weekend but the following weekend, so it'll be the weekend before we start the training series, and that's going to be a little bit more specific, our goals, talking about our tune-up races and all of that sort of thing. Today what I want to do is talk to you about the approach, the kind of more generic, how I approached the last training block, whereas how I'm going to approach this one, what the differences are, what the similarities are, and answering a couple of your questions that you guys had in the comments. So let's dive right in. So I'm going to start off by saying it's going to be a very similar format. We're going to be sticking with the 5 days a week like I've done for the last goodness knows how many years. At some point we'll end up ramping up to 6 days a week, but the time is not now, especially not with a baby. So we're going to end up sticking with that sort of Monday, Tuesday, rest day Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then rest day Sunday, with the long run being on the Saturday. And I'm letting Chris put together the plan for me, so I'm not 100% sure what's coming. That's going to be talked about more in the intro video. But in terms of the format, that's what we're going to be sticking with. It's going to be another 18-week block, so it's going to be another big one. And we're going to be ramping it up to 60 miles a week. So I say ramping it up, that's kind of where I was before the recent marathon training block. So when I started working with Chris, before I ran with him, I was running around that 55-mile range, and it was a really good sweet spot for me. We ended up averaging 47 miles per week during that marathon training block, so lower than what I had been running, but felt absolutely incredible. Felt like I was in the shape of my life. I've got to be honest with you, I'm feeling really good now in this easy week, so I'm really excited that we haven't regressed that much at all, and I can't wait to get going. But we will be taking it back up, probably starting between that 50 to 55 mile range and very soon hitting that 60 mile area. So that's where I want to be sitting throughout the majority of this plan. Chris knows that, so he's going to be working that around things. So in terms of the generic setup, it's going to stay the same. The days of the week are going to stay the same. The mileage is going to increase. One comment that someone asked, and then a few people chirped in on, which was a good comment to be fair, and they were like, Andy, you don't need another big block. Jump in and do, let's say, 4 or 5 weeks worth of speed training. You've got that massive aerobic base that you've just built, or you've got that massive base, I should say, you've just built of all that speed endurance from the marathon training. Get some speed in you, you will absolutely fly like a rocket. And I do not disagree with that. I think it's a great idea. And if the summer was going to be full of 5Ks and 10Ks, then that's not a bad shout at all. And I would probably recommend some people look at doing that if that's what your short-term goal is. Sadly, at the moment, obviously with COVID, although things are looking up here in the UK and races are slowly coming back, we don't have that abundance of races over the next, let's say, 4 to 5 weeks that is going to really work in my favour to test out that speed. Yes, I have a tune-up race, yes, I have my first race in the first week in June, so literally within the first couple of weeks of starting the training block, which is exciting. After that, we don't have races for a while, and again, I'll talk about what races we've booked in the intro series. So we do have some tune-up races coming, but I won't be able to sort of showcase that speed straight away. So then it's a case of, well, if I did 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm kind of peaking and holding at that point, but my goal race isn't till sort of September and October, I'm going to have to either sit into maintenance mode or drop back down and then go again. And it's not going to work for me this year. I'm not saying it's a bad idea when things get back to normal, but it's not going to work for me right now. So I am looking at another longer term block. I'm just checking my notes. So yes, but that aside, I did just mention it, we do have some tune-up races in there. In fact, we have 6 races in total in this block. We have 1 in June, we have 2 in July, none in August. I'm keeping that clear for the summer holidays in case we go away on holiday. We have 1 in September and 1 in October. I can't remember. Maybe it's 2 in September. I can't remember now. Either way, we've got some good races coming. Again, I'll announce what they are. They're all of them are booked bar one. So I've got my summer sorted. That's really exciting. I'm going to be a lot more relaxed about time. So yes, I'm going to set myself some time goals. Yes, I'm going to set myself kind of a bracket, but I'm not going to be quite so, hey guys, I'm training for my sub 240 marathon. I'm going to be kind of like, right, okay, so the main goal is to shoot for a PB, but do you know what I'd love to get this time? And again, I'll divulge times in that intro series to make sure you stay tuned for that. Officially, my PR for the half marathon is 1:17. That was set back in January 2020. By the time we come to race a half marathon in September, it's going to be 20 months, 21 months since we've raced a half marathon officially. So obviously last year, and then yeah, it was last year and earlier this year, we ended up setting half marathon PRs in time trials, 1:15, 1:14. We ended up running this year, 1:15 last year. So I know I've got that sort of 74 range in me. Obviously we're going to be trying to go quicker than that with this training block. We'll divulge more into that, but I will be so much more relaxed about it. I kind of feel like there's a pressure element, which I don't feel got to me during the marathon training, but I'm just going to alleviate anything that I think could cause extra pressure. And a time goal is one of those things. We've got the tune-up races, and the final thing is I'm going to be running a little bit more on trails, especially in the beginning of the training block where it's not quite so race specific. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to be hitting the hills, I'm not saying I'm going to be hitting ridiculous elevation. That's not the goal here. The goal is obviously flatter half marathon training, but I am going to be using the flat trails to do some of my workouts on. As I said, I have run on the industrial estate all winter. I am not doing it again throughout the summer. We've got some good mile stretches of trails that we can use for some of those timed intervals, some of those repeats. And we've got some mildly undulating trails that we can use for some of those moderate runs when I'm feeling like I just want to go out there and just kind of roll through the trails. It's nothing taxing, it's nothing crazy. I learnt my lesson from marathon training not to go on the crazy big hills, but I'm certainly going to be using the trails around me just to kind of mentally keep things refreshed. I can't, as I said, imagine running on concrete for another, 6 months or 4 months, sorry, however long this training block is going to be. So we're certainly going to be using the trails more to our advantage. So those are kind of going to be the things that you guys need to know. We're going to be running more on the trails. We're going to be a lot more relaxed about the time. The structure in the block is going to be a similar time scale to what the marathon was, but we are going to be increasing the mileage. Oh, and of course, one more thing, there's going to be plenty more shoe reviews coming throughout this block. I was quite specific during the marathon training that I didn't want to shake things up, but we've got 3 shoes already coming in, I think 4 actually, ready to test over the next month. So it's going to be heavy on the shoe reviews over the coming month, making up for lost time. Excited to try some new ones, get some good ones into the rotation for half marathon training, and that is about it. So that's what you guys need to know from a generic perspective. Tune in not this weekend but the weekend after for the intro series. I'll give you more specifics on the times I'm shooting for, more of a specific structure on the weeks, and we'll cover all of that stuff then. Anyway, I appreciate you coming along with the running journey today, hearing me out today. I'm excited to kickstart this series again. I've got to be honest with you, I'm feeling ready right now, but I do have to put the brakes on a bit, kind of let my body get back into it, and then ready to start in a couple of weeks' time. If you enjoyed today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then.